Hey guys, Rex here, and welcome back to the SMB server. Now today is episode 4, and it's going to be a bit of a weird episode because what actually happened is I recorded the entire episode and worked on the project and everything, and the recordings were being weird and a whole bunch of stuff happened and it just didn't work out. And every once in a while that happens when you're a YouTuber. But the problem is, if you're doing something like a redstone video, it's really simple because you can just re-record it. But if you're doing a Let's Play video, then you've actually already done all the things, and unless you're willing to tear it apart and rebuild it just for the sake of the episode, then it's sort of awkward because you already have it all done. So what I'm going to be doing this episode is actually just showing you all the stuff that I've done that originally was in the episode, and just how it works and what it does. But first things first, I must say that we have added 2 new members to the SMB server. So welcome Mac Attack Productions and Davkas2005. And of course there will be links to their YouTube channels in the descriptions so you can check them out for yourselves. But what are we going to be looking at today, you may ask? Well, I have done a couple things. Well, a ton of stuff on the server actually has been going on. So, in a couple of episodes, I think there's going to be one more before I'm going to be doing a world tour, a full world tour. And so you can see everything that everyone else has been up to. But for this episode, hello Impulse, I am just going to be covering what I have been doing on the server. Let's say hi. Yeah, so I've been mainly working on the ship, and I've also built up a witch farm. For our team and for the other team. We're going to be sharing the resources from the witch farm because they're some pretty important resources. Also, one important thing is that we have put in a new command block thing on the server. The same command block thing that they put in on the Hermitcraft server. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically a command block machine that makes it so only one person on the server has to be sleeping. So you'll notice Impulse is on right now, and if I take a sleep, it's actually going to change to day, even though Impulse is on the server. Right? So I actually built that command block device. It's a modification of the one that is built on the Hermitcraft server, because the disadvantage to their design is it will actually set the day counter back to 0 every time someone sleeps, which is not... I mean, it's not a huge deal, but I like to know what day it is on the server. And on this server, it doesn't really matter, because it somehow got reset at one point. It was at like 3,000 and got reset back to 0. But that is that, I think. So I will probably be doing a little video on that soon, maybe, because it's not really a huge modification, but I don't know. Also, it also makes it so it doesn't like instantly change to day. It has a little bit of an animation, but it's slightly glitchy due to the way that the game works. So I guess next we will move on to the sorter. So it looks a bit different from when you last saw it. I haven't realized, however, that it is a lag machine. This thing here, like some people like Skizzleman can't even really walk when they get around to the sorter. And I believe that is mostly because of the item frames. I'm not sure. But I did try to optimize this as much as possible. There was still a couple optimizations that I could make, and I probably will make them because I do not want this thing to make it unplayable for other people on the server, because that's just not cool. So I think I might have to end up rebuilding the whole thing, who knows. And if I do, then I will, because like I said, lag is not cool. I don't want to have to force other people to buy new computers just so they can play on in our base. So the one thing I might do as well is, because the item frames create a lot of lag for a lot of people, is take the block and put the block in the place instead of using an item frame. Although, in my opinion, an item frame looks a lot nicer. I'll be definitely using item frames in my single player world. Well, I might, I don't know yet. But we might change it to just being the block. But unfortunately we can't do it for these ones, because... well, we can if we want to see the stuff behind, but these ones have to be non-solid so that we can actually open the chests. So these ones will have to be the ones with item frames, and then we'll just make sure that we stick the stuff like stairs and stuff here. So they have to be in item frames anyways. Otherwise, you'll be able to see what's behind it. So now we can move on to this area here, and well, I guess I'll start with here. So last time you saw this, there was no input here. The only input was on the ground. And I have fixed that up. Finally, we can now throw items into this water stream, and they will be brought in by this the water stream into the item elevator and up into the system here. Now I've also changed up the one on the ground to use water instead of a dropper, and that is really good because then we can just dump stuff in. We don't have to, it's not super duper slow. So it will do, like, if I put an entire stack of items, do I have a stack of items here? Well, I have dirt, but that's it. If I dump an entire stack of items, they will all go up at the same time instead of taking forever for a dropper to spit out each one. And then it will go along this ice stream, which I have now changed to an ice stream instead of some hoppers. And then it's going to go up into there. Let's see if I can get up there. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, I was freaking out. I thought it was going to land on the ground. But, let's see if we can get on top. Come on. Okay. There we go. Oops. So yeah, they go into this little thing of hopper minecarts here. And the reason the hopper minecarts are there is, there are like 4 or 5 of them, by the way, and they act as like a buffer. Because if we throw 10 stacks of items down here, they're not all going to be able to go into the hopper underneath right away, and we don't want them to despawn. So that's what those hopper minecarts are. They'll pick up the items and store them until that bottom hopper has enough room for them, and then that way they don't despawn. And yeah, so it's all hooked up now, and all the rest of the items that don't get sorted go down here right now into these chests, this array of chests here. As you can see, we've got a couple of witch drops from the witch farm I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think we're gonna add another little sorter for what's it called? Clay, things like clay and wool that would take up an enormous amount of space in this thing. Oh yes, one very important thing that I didn't mention is that I actually expanded this by 8 blocks. It's 8 blocks longer, now holds 256 items as opposed to 192, which was before. So it's a bit more laggy, but I was thinking that if I'm going to expand this thing, I'm going to expand it now and not later, because if I do it later, then it's just going to be a lot more of a pain. So yeah, I think that is all I've done with the sorter, other than added the scaffolding back here so we can actually get around and add the filters in. Because not very many of the filters are in right now, and it's really easy to add the filter. All we need to do is take the snowball, move it over, and put 2 of whatever item we want to sort in the first slot there. It's super duper simple. So all this stuff I'm not going to show you. I'm going to show that to you next episode, because there is some very, very exciting stuff going on in the ship here and up in the front. But now I'm just going to go down to the ground, and we're going to check out what I've done down there. Okay, so I changed my mind, and guess what we are standing on top of right now? That's right, a witch farm. So for this witch farm, which took a ton of resources to build, but we were running out of redstone, and we really needed some more redstone, and we've got some other really useful resources that we can get from here, like glowstone, although we are using a lot of sea lanterns these days, because we have lots of those too. So we now have a witch farm. It's the new 3-floor design. It's JL2579 super efficient witch farm design. It's like 99.9% efficient. The link to the tutorial will be in the description. So yes, we did actually take this witch hut, which was there before. We modified the data file to have 3 floors, and I hope you guys don't consider that cheating, because witch huts are meant to be 3 floors tall in 1.8.1. So we don't really consider that cheating. But and I hope you don't either. But even if you do, cheating is really it's what you really want it to be, because cheating, the point of cheating, well, cheating is only really not cool when it starts ruining the fun. So if you start spawning in items or doing funny things, or I hope you get what I mean, but I'm not gonna ramble on about this. So yeah, they spawn in there, and then the shifting floor will actually I don't know if I can demonstrate it here, but when a mob goes into one of the tripwires on the floors, they will obviously activate the tripwire, which will, let's see if I can simulate this. Do I have a lever? No, I don't. Okay. And then it's going to push this piston here, which is going to sort of activate a little clock here. That's really cool. That I really like JL's little clock design. It uses a cauldron, and the fact that the cauldron only has one water bottle worth of water in it, and it uses it to make a signal strength 1, so it only powers the piston that corresponds with the cauldron instead of powering the whole row. And then it will push the piston, this piston, and obviously, and then the other one on the other side will push, and then this one will push again, and it will just shift the floor back and forth until the witch falls through. And then obviously he won't be standing in the tripwire anymore, and then it will stop shifting back and forth. So that's how this works. It's pretty simple, but it was a pain to build just because of how it's laid out and stuff. And then the witches, once they fall down there, they go down this big long hole. And yes, I am that lazy. And ooh, uh-oh. No. Well, I'm gonna have to craft some more. So they will fall down this big long hole, which is just long enough to kill them when they hit this floor of half slabs, which has a layer of hoppers underneath, which all funnel into this central hopper right here, which goes right into this dropper, which has a little redstone attached, which will shoot them off into this big long ice path, which I'm going to explain in a second. But first, I feel like I must tell a story. Why is this little crater here? You might be wondering. This funny little shaped crater with a water pocket in it. The water pocket is just so I can get an infinite water source. But the crater is because, if you don't know, 1.8.1 portals are a little bit weird. They're we're in pre-3 right now, and they're a bit they are just very, very frustrating, because when I come through this portal, oh, I don't know if you heard that, but some witches just fell and we're getting the drop shot out right now. This portal, if I go through the nether side and I come out this portal, I will not come out right here like I'm supposed to. I will come out right here. So the crater is from me digging a hole because I had no idea where it spawned me. So I feel like this might be a good time to tell the little story that I had. So I used to have some really good stuff on the server, and then I died once because I was being dumb, and I decided that standing on the middle of a 3-wide bridge would be a good place to get the Return to Sender achievement. So I lost on myself and I died. Then I got some new good stuff, and I died, and I lost all my stuff because the portals were being glitchy. And yeah, so that wasn't fun. I had to delay a whole bunch of projects. That's why this episode, one of the reasons why episode 4 didn't work out too well, and it took forever to be released. So yeah, but Zintac was actually kind enough to give me some new stuff. So I managed, the only things for some reason I managed to salvage was my helmet, chestplate, pants, and sword, which is a really nice sword for collecting wither skulls. So Zintac actually gave me some new boots, which are really nice, some new pants, which are also really nice, and a new really nice pick and axe. I've never seen an efficiency 5 axe in my entire time of playing Minecraft, and they're pretty cool. But thank you for that, Zintac. I was actually able to continue my projects now that I had some new gear from him. And it's sort of interesting having a silk touch pick, but not a non-silk touch pick, because then you can't get any cobblestone, and sometimes you want to make something like a lever, but you can't because you only have a silk touch pick. Yeah, so then they go down, the items will go down this giant water stream there. And you can guess where that goes, because the witch farm, I didn't actually show you where it is, it's very close to the ship. So if we just swim a little distance away, we can see the ship right there. That's how close it is. It's super duper close. So we can actually take the items from the witch farm and directly import them into the ship, which is very, very cool in my opinion. However, at the end of the water stream, there is a considerable length hopper chain, which once again, if that is lagging the other server members or the server itself, I am going to get rid of it, and we're just going to store the items up here, because we do not want to be lagging the server for other people, but we do want to be using hoppers and stuff if it's not going to lag other people or the server, because they are super cool. Yeah, so it will take all the items, they'll all fall down into the water stream and go all the way down here. Let's see if we can go down here real quick. Underground, keep going, and it will go all the way to about here. about back there, and then they're going to travel this way, and they're going to go to the bottom of the giant tractor beam. Uh-oh. Did you see that? That skeleton just shot me like right before I teleported, so I got caught on fire from his flame bow, and then I instantly got put out when I teleported. So yeah, this is the ship. It's looking pretty fancy. I will show you next episode, because next episode we are going to be working in the ship. So yeah, this is what I've done here. Very simple. I just changed the style of this to have it so you throw the items in instead of having a chest. And down here we can actually see. Oh, huh. Maybe there's more items going to be coming up here. We can see that there's actually 3 entry points for the item elevator. One down there, one right here, and one right up in the ship. So we can put items from here, one from the ship, and then the one down there is going to be sort of an input from farms and stuff. If we want to, you know, take the sugarcane farm and stick it in there, then that's fine. This was actually a pain to do because I wanted it so that the witch farm drops would automatically be put in the ship, right? And the reason we have the water stream and then the hoppers after that, which I'm not going to show you, but just trust me, they're there. And then the hoppers is because it's slightly out of the player loading range. So once it becomes out of the player loading range, we have to use hoppers because those will self-load. And if I just put items down a water stream, it won't load itself. And then if I could have used a chunk loader, but then that would have loaded a ridiculous amount of chunks and lagged the server. But the chunks I have loaded are this chunk that this thing is in, so that items can be put up here while we're AFKing at the witch farm. Otherwise they would all bunch up here, and then they would all float out at the same time when it got loaded, and then there wouldn't be enough buffer space for it, so it would just all despawn, and we wouldn't want that. What was I saying? So yeah, there's a chunk loader for this chunk and a chunk loader for 2 more chunks slightly behind this that will keep the item elevators in the sorter active, to make sure that none of this stuff gets backed up and breaks, because if it does that, we are going to lose a lot of items, and we wouldn't want that. And the chunk loader is actually feeding sort of off the spawn chunks because it's really close to the spawn chunks. So it's sort of feeding off the spawn chunks, so that because the spawn chunks are always loaded, it's going to have a little chunk loader sort of going this way, and then these chunks will always be loaded because the chunk loader is sort of feeding off the spawn chunks. So regardless of what dimension a player is, or whatever. So I think that's all there is to say. Building the chunk loader, by the way, was a pain in the butt because I had to dig a huge hole, do a ton of coordinate stuff. It's just not fun. I'm not going to be building very many chunk loaders on the server because it's just such a pain. Yeah, so I think that's all we have to do with the item. I'm at a loss for words right now. What is this called? The item tractor beam. Yes, the item tractor beam and the witch farm. So, as a closing for this short episode, because of what happened earlier, like I mentioned, things are recording weird and stuff like that, and I figured out some new weird things with my headset that sort of screwed up all the recordings, and yeah, but as a closing to this episode, we're just going to do a little stroll around here. We're going to do a proper world tour later, like I said. Yeah, so lots of things have been going on around the server, and next episode we're going to be working in the ship, and yeah, so one thing I'd quickly like to mention is that very soon, I can't wait, we are going to be working on a wither skeleton farm, well, relatively soon, which is going to be pretty cool because we have actually lost 4 beacons. 4 beacons out of like the 6 that we've had on the server. Well, Impulse just got a ton, but we've lost an absurd number of beacons to creepers, because beacons have a really, really low blast resistance, and they just one of them was my fault, and I just feel so bad because the creeper just came up and he just blew up the beacon. I wasn't expecting it. I was being dumb. You had a beacon out in the middle of the night. But yeah, I just want to say that that's really frustrating. Make sure if you're playing survival Minecraft, for, you know, if you're Oh my goodness, that's a terrible lag spike. If you're playing survival Minecraft and you're new to beacons, make sure you keep them in a very well lit place, because creepers will come and blow it up, and it will be very frustrating. And I killed my first wither, guys. I killed my first wither ever in survival Minecraft, and I got the beacon, and it got blown up by a creeper. So yeah, very, very, very frustrating. Yeah, but I think that's all I'm going to have for today's episode. So look forward to next episode, where we're going to be building the ship, and the next episode, which is going to be a world tour. But if you enjoyed this little episode here, then please leave a like. It would be really appreciated. And follow me on Twitter at NanoRexMC for more updates. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Rex out.